Hello. I don't know when I'm gonna post this. I'm not sure when this is going to be a thing, but I feel like everyone's been trying me, and I feel like everyone's been testing my patience, and so I was like in a situation, like a little moment with a buddy of mine or whatever, or a roommate, whatever you want to call him. I don't know. And he was like, he said something about me making a video, and I don't know why he said that. It was such a petty comment, but I was like, you know what? I will make a video about this. So Bernard, thanks for the push. I I don't. Let me come down a little bit, because I'm both triggered and super charged, and so I have to be very careful about my energy and where it goes. Um, I'm so thankful that I know not to take things personal, because the way that some people be acting, the way that some people be moving, it's just how could you think that this was an acceptable behavior? You know what I mean? And then be it beyond me to be the one to call someone out and be like, hey yo, that's not appropriate, that's out of pocket, that's not an adult behavior, you know. And I'm making this video for anybody who feels triggered by other people, who feels like, I don't know what I'm gonna title this, but just keep in mind that the behaviors of others are not a direct reflection of anything that you are doing. When it all boils down to it, we are all responsible for our own behaviors. And so if someone continuously disrespects your time, or plays you for a fool, or whatever have you, whatever situation you have going on, that is not a reflection of how smart you are. That is not a reflection of how capable you are. That is not a reflection of how likable you are. That is not a reflection of who you are. That's not how you should internalize that. You should recognize that that is this person doing what they're doing because of the way that they see the world and the way that they see you in the world. And I'm trying not to be upset at anybody in particular. If anything, I should be more upset at myself in the way that I choose to handle the situation. But but then I always come back to what the fuck? Why do I have to deal with this? You know what I mean? And there's always an opportunity to self-reflect and look within and self-improve. And it can be very difficult when you're dealing with emotions, dealing with feelings, to stop and be like, hey, this isn't personal. This is, this has nothing to do with me. This is what they're going through. This might be a little bit of a jumbled video. Once again, I have no idea when I'm going to post this. This was a very last minute video. But I recently did make a video about letting go. I made a 30-minute video about letting go and how to let go with grace. And I feel heavily, this might sound a little woo-woo, this might sound a little esoteric, but I feel heavily that the old version of me is just no longer. Whoever I used to be is no longer. I've talked about it in music, I've talked about it in lyrics and whatnot. And it's I used to be a person who was very caught up on certain things, very hung up on whether or not people liked me, and whether or not I was doing good. But I've gotten to a place where I genuinely don't give a fuck. That might sound harsh, but it's I don't care. I've been through enough being homeless and shit to kind of just let things roll off my back, you know. Sure, it might sting a little bit in the moment that someone doesn't like me, or someone has beef with me, but generally I'm just I don't care. I love you, I care about you, just as I love myself, as I love God, whatever. But I am so close to just saying fuck everybody. And I guess part of me is just like making this video to kind of get it out of my body and to like talk about it, because it helps to talk about things, you know, as much as we don't want to like talk about certain things, it helps to talk about it. I feel like my situation is so ghetto. I'm like, I don't even want to talk about it, the specifics, but like one thing that I've been running into a lot lately, and you know, we could interpret this so many different ways, but like one thing I've been running into a lot is people with, how do I say this? I don't want to say control issues, but people who have a hard time like not controlling me. Does it make sense? Like people who are very like dominant over my energy. It's like, hey yo Tariq, do this. Hey yo Tariq, like go fetch me this. Go do this. Go do that. And I'm like, do you want to ask me if I want to? Like that's what I feel like I'm gonna start saying that to people. I'm gonna try to start saying like, do you want? Do I want to? No. Because like, you know, and it's like, I don't hold grudges. I'm not the type of person to hold grudges. I'm not like I'm really good at letting go. But generally, I'm just like, what the fuck, you know? I don't know if I'm gonna actually post this video, because what is the true like message of this video? I don't know, other than me just venting. The golden rule of like treat others how we want to be treated is kind of like an obvious thing, but like when you recognize that everyone's raised differently, everyone's like treated differently in childhood, it's like not everybody really wants to be treated the same way, and some people genuinely don't know how they want to be treated. I feel as though I've been doing a lot of self-reflection work lately. Like I have been slacking a little bit with the mirror work, but I've been doing like mirror work and like just, you know, digging into myself in different ways. And every time you do that, every time you get into that, there's always somebody or several somebodies who want to get into your space and like tell you what to do and like just be a nuisance. And it's like, the biggest thing about that is just not taking it personal, because that changes the way that you respond to it. Because when you take it personal, you know, however you respond to like someone attacking you is how you respond. But it's like, it's not a personal attack. They're just doing what they do. You know, if anything, they're just attacking themselves through you. You're just a mirror for them. And like, I have to like keep coming back to it. Like, it's not personal. Like, this person like avoids me, not because they don't like me, but because they can't handle me, because they don't want to like deal with something that I like bring up to, you know what I mean? And I'm taking a breath. In this moment, I'm being reminded of the exercise of like talking to one's inner child. And I wonder what a conversation with my inner child would be like. Like if I could talk to the younger version of me. Because I can't imagine like if I explained to him the way that my life is set up right now, I think he would be appalled. I don't know how he would react. Because this is not what I envisioned for my life at all. And I believe in room for growth. I believe in like miracles, etc., etc. But like, it's just funny to think about where life takes us. And I say where life takes us, but it's like, it's not even life. Like, life is just a guide. Like, you get to fucking steer the ship. And if you ain't steering properly, don't expect to end up in paradise. You know what I mean? Let me take a sip of this. Recently, I find myself very overstimulated. And I can't say that I have been dealing with it in the most healthy way. I really don't think I've been dealing with it in a healthy way. Just to be honest and transparent. this video shall serve as like a sort of like silver lining, I guess. Which I have been trying to do that whenever I find myself in this like energy. I'm like, let me write something or let me do something so I can like have this be a productive moment. You know what I mean? I got into an argument the other day with a friend about self-love and how important self-love is. And it stemmed from me sending them a video of mine, like a tarot video, and them basically being like, there's nothing in this video for me. And I was like, really? Because then I watched the video back and I was like, this is basically a universal video. Like, any human needs this information. Like, really. And he was like, I don't really know about that. And so I started like pointing out things in the video, and self-love was one of the things. And he was like, yeah, I guess self-love is important. But he didn't really care. And I was like, okay, whatever. But some time went by, and apparently he was sent an email with an article including self-love within the list of like, you know, how to make your morning great. And I thought that was like a beautiful moment of like how in tune with the universe I am, how in tune I am in general. Because I kind of just let it go. I was like, I'm trying to get you to understand this because this is an important topic for you. Like, it is important to love yourself, and I don't feel like you love yourself enough. And he was like, okay, whatever. And then, like, I let it go, and then the universe was like, no, bitch, here you go. And I think the beautiful thing, the beautifully dangerous thing about the universe and the world that we live in is that we have free will, and we're allowed to do whatever the fuck we want to do. Like, literally. But there are certain things that our soul wants to do, that the universe wants us to do. And when we don't do those things, you better watch out, because, like, why aren't you listening? You know, at least acknowledge, at least be like, you know what, that's some good stuff. But, like, to completely turn the other way and pretend like you're not being guided, you know, I don't know. It's a specific gripe I have with this particular friend. Like, he's very out of touch with his higher self, his higher awareness, and it annoys me because he's also a person who has worked with the church. He works with the church, like he goes to church, and he like likes to be active within like helping the community and whatnot, which is really cool. But it's like, you do all this stuff but yet you ignore your soul. Like, what? And like, aside from this friend, I had read recently that's the reason, or not read, I didn't read it, it was in a video. Somebody said that the reason why people have a midlife crisis is usually because they ignore their higher calling, you know, whatever that is for them, like whatever their soul is urging them to do. And this person is over 50, so I will say that. If you happen to be watching, Paul, I love you. You're awesome. You're cool. And I hope you don't take this personal. But yeah, it just really sucks to me that people do that. Like, they just kind of ignore, you know, that desire inside. And it's like, sometimes, like, not everything needs to be followed. Not every desire needs to be followed. But I have read that the desires are basically just the soul's way of being like, hey, go in this direction, you know? Like, if you see a fine piece of ass and you're like, like, maybe you need to go in that direction. Maybe you need to figure out who that fine piece of ass is, you know what I mean? And that's a very specific and, like, maybe inappropriate example, but, like, the sentiment remains. I feel like there's this thing that happens with me personally. This is going to be a very chaotic video. I'm going to, like, title this chaotic video or something. I don't know. There's this thing that happens with me where people kind of, like, how do I say this? I think because I'm so friendly and, like, open to everyone, like, people kind of assume the role of friendship with me. And, like, when I don't fully, how do I say this? Because being a friend and being unconditionally loving and just generally loving towards everyone are two different things. Like, I can hate your guts, I can hate being around you, but still, like, be kind to you and do things for you when you ask, and not be your friend. Like, that's, and, like, there's a big difference. Like, the title friend, that's a big thing. Specifically for me, that, like, says a lot. Like, if I consider you a friend, it's like, that means I would go out of my way to, like, make sure that you're okay. Like, generally, I care about your well-being as a person, like, as a individual who is, like, deeply connected to their own spirituality. Like, I generally care about everyone. I'm like, everyone deserves a good, happy ending, blah, blah, blah. But, like, when you're my friend, I'm like, no. No. You need more than that. And, like, I feel like constantly I am, like, rearranging my, like, who I consider to be a friend. Over the years, I've had people who have been in my lives who have been really good friends. And I feel like I've been really good friends to those people. But eventually, we fizzle out and, like, we're not friends anymore, and it is what it is. So, like, now I'm in a place where, like, finding friends is kind of like, what's happening? Like, I don't know. But that being said, like, there's this thing that people do where they just assume that I'm, like, their friend and that I want to be their friend. And it's like, no, I just care about you as an individual. And, like, if you ask me, I would help you. But it's like, I'm not your friend. And that sounds harsh. The way I feel like I'm saying that now, I'm like, that sounds harsh. But it's like, it is what it is. It's like, that should be enough. Like, the fact that I'm such a, like, caring person, it's like, and then you take advantage of that and you, like, and I don't know, maybe I can't really blame these individuals for, like, the way that they navigate and whatnot, because it's like, I can't imagine what's going on in their heads. I said this in a comment section the other day, and, like, nobody was vibing with it, but they were like, no, don't justify the behavior. And I'm like, yeah, don't justify the behavior, but, like, when you have compassion, Nick, you understand that, like, even negative actions have positive intent. Like, what was his name? Clark Cagley? I was watching his videos earlier, and he said that he was basically like, every negative action, every undesirable action has a positive intent. Like, when you boil it down. And, like, it really spoke to me because it's like, yeah, like, anything that we do, there's something there that is trying to be, like, connected, like a positive to a positive, but, like, it doesn't work because that's not how science works, I guess. Right? Two positives, you need a negative and a positive to attract, I think. I don't know. But yeah, I think it's a really strange thing to, like, be triggered on an unconscious level, but still be conscious of it. Because it's like, I'm aware that I'm triggered, but it's like, I'm not triggered enough to, like, act out. Excuse me, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, I think generally a lot of people are, like, really sick in the head. And I say that with no judgment. I say that just objectively. Like, I think a lot of people are just, like, so mentally ill that, like, they can't even understand that they're mentally ill. You know what I mean? And it's like, once again, no shots fired. Like, I feel like they need to clarify that, like, that's not supposed to be, like, a judgment call. It's not like, oh, you're a bad person if you, like, no. Because a lot of people feel like, evil is a thing, people are wicked. But, like, I feel like evil, The Alchemist has said this, evil is really just mental illness, like, people who are sick in the head. And you gotta have sympathy for these people. I mean, you don't have to have sympathy for these people, but I think it definitely does help to maintain your own sanity, because rationalizing the negative actions of others is not a fun pastime. You know what I mean? I have my phone. Also, once again, I really don't want to talk about it, because talking about it is going to bring a sort of life to it that I don't want to bring life to it. I've already talked about it with someone, and so, whatever. But because I was so random, it involves a second phone, That's all I'll say. That's why I was like triggered when I showed you my phone. Um, but yeah, no. Another thing that really grinds my gears, that really upsets me, that like once again I have to recognize it's not personal, is how people feel entitled to the space and energy and attention of others. Like, it's one thing to assume that you are deserving of good things and that the world should give you good things. That's one thing. But it's another thing to look at a person, an individual person, and be like, oh, you have to give me this. Like, I deserve this. This is, like, give me this. Because it's like, what? No. 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 Like, maybe if we boil it down and we look at, like, the law of singularity and all that and how, like, we're all connected, whatever, then it's like, yeah. You know, like, every person is, like, a personification of the universe, and, like, if you're expecting good things from the universe, then, like, yeah, sure, people. But, like, you don't demand things from... Ideally, you shouldn't even be demanding things from, like, the world or, like, the universe or God or whatever. Like, you should be humble enough to accept that, like, sometimes you're just not going to get what you want when you want it, like, you know? But... oh my god, I lost my train of thought. I was gonna say something and I like... this is like a shit video. If I end up posting this, thanks for watching. If anybody happens to watch this in the future, I do hope that you know that you are worthy of good things, that you are worthy of, like, living a decent life and, like, you know, healing the parts of you that aren't so pretty. Hope you recognize that, like, whatever you're going through, it's just one moment in time. Like, everything's temporary. No matter how big the situation is, no matter how, like, stressful it is, like, it's all temporary. Every moment passes. Also, I'm, like, scratching really bad. I have, like, a really bad itch. Let me stop temporarily while I'm on camera. Okay, I don't know what else to say. This is a very jumbled video. I don't know what's going to happen with this video, when it's going to get posted. It's currently July, excuse me. It's currently July as I'm recording, so if I end up posting, like, later down the line, then oopsie daisy. I hope that I said something useful for you. I hope that you got what you needed from this. And, peace.